Well, Sarah Palin sending a message to her critics in her first interview since the shootings in Tucson. Here she is last night on Hannity, hitting back at those who initially accused her and other conservatives and some on the right of somehow contributing to the tragedy. Mrs. Palin making clear that tactic will not work.
I will continue to speak out. They're not going to shut me up. They're not going to shut you up, or Rush, or Mark Levin, or Tea Party patriots, or those who, as I say, respectfully and patriotically petition their government for change. They can't make us sit down and shut up. And if they ever were to succeed in doing that, then our republic will be destroyed.
Does she have a point? Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host, hosting the LeslieMarshallShow.com, and a Fox News contributor. And Lars Larson is a syndicated radio talk show host as well, and he's with LarsLarson.com. Okay, panel. So Sarah Palin coming out and, with both guns. What is it? Slinging? What? Both guns firing? Whatever.
Blazing.
Blazing. Thank
Blazing.
you. And saying, "You're not going to shut me up." She says it's not about me. It's about my message. And try as they might, the critics are not going to silence her. Lars, in response to which you say what?
Megan, you don't want your baby to grow up in an America where we have people telling us that we should shut up, that we shouldn't exercise our opinions, to voice our opinions. Can you imagine people in the 60s saying America could just calm down if Dr. Martin Luther King would just sit down and shut up? As far as I'm concerned, Governor Palin is a hero. She stands up and she advocates for a huge percentage of Americans. And now the people that she is being successful in opposing, and this is politics, are telling her, you have to shut up. Now, the fact is they dealt her a dirty one on Saturday afternoon after the shooting in Tucson by immediately on the AP linking her to that shooting when there was no evidence whatsoever that there was any linkage between what Governor Palin had done and the shooting in Tucson. And yet they kept up that meme even beyond the point where the president said it simply wasn't true. And those folks who are telling her to shut up, that's just plain un-American.
And the president has said, the political ideology wasn't behind this, Leslie, and yet some on the left don't accept that and aren't prepared to heed his warning, I guess, his call for more civil discourse. You had a columnist in the Washington Post, Eugene Robinson, who came out just yesterday. Now, it was prior to the Hannity interview. Let me correct myself. It's today. It's posted today, Tuesday, and said to Sarah Palin, this is his message: please consider being quiet for a while. He says you're portraying yourself as a collateral victim, and what's in order here is an extended period of abstinence by Palin from Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking sites. He doesn't want to hear from her anymore. And let me ask you, Leslie, as somebody who's in the talk field world, what right does Eugene Robinson have to tell Sarah Palin to be quiet?
Well, he has the First Amendment right, and I get told to be quiet every time I'm on Fox and the radio. So, that's what happens when we're either in politics or in broadcasting and in the public eye.
Why, in his mind, does he get to offer his opinion and she doesn't get to offer hers?
Well, she did offer her opinion.
Right, but he objects.
And she has defended herself.
But my point is,
Leslie,
my point is, he objects. Like the First Amendment encourages debate from all sides, right? So Eugene Robinson gets to offer his opinion of her, and if he thinks Sarah Palin should be quiet, he can feel that way. But why, in his mind, and in the mind of some of her critics, do they get to offer their opinions, but she doesn't get to offer hers?
Oh, I don't feel that way, and I didn't read it that way except for his opinion. Quite frankly, as a liberal Democrat, I want her and everyone who disagrees to speak. I think the problem here is, at least for my listeners, left and right, is they don't want, after the tragedy that took place in Tucson, more division. We are in a reconciliatory stage in our country. That's what the president spoke of. Let's stop the blame. Let's stop the defending.
What did she do?
Let's get down to business.
What did she do, Lars, that added to that? She came out with that statement defending herself, and then the left got even angrier, saying she shouldn't have used the term blood libel and she shouldn't have spoken before the president, and sort of turned it back around on her again.
it was a blood libel, and I think I could say why it was appropriate to use that term. The fact is, the left threw down the gauntlet first, beginning with the Associated Press, which tilts hard to the left, by making the accusation that somehow she had something to do with it. That was piled on by the lefties, who began to say that she had something to do with this, followed by a dead silence from the president for days before he finally spoke at the memorial. The fact is that, Leslie, when you say, let's stop the blame game, the left launched the blame game in this case. They didn't say, let's go diagnose what was wrong, why a mentally unstable man, but who had not been diagnosed formally as mentally unstable, was able to get a gun,
yeah,
was able
there's
to
no
do the
question
things
this guy
he did.
was not a political guy. He's a mentally disturbed guy. But Leslie, let me ask you, I mean, what would you do, even if you don't like Sarah Palin, what would you do if you were sitting there and large swaths of the country were blaming you for the massacre we saw in Tucson when there was no evidence to support that?
Megan, I'm so glad you asked me that, as a woman, especially. Because I'm sorry, and I know ladies are going to get mad on me, but the first thing I would think is, because I'm a woman and be emotional, would be to defend myself. However, I want to look at leaders left and right, so I did. Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, all presidents which she may desire to be and run for. They don't defend personal attacks of themselves. They defend their political agenda and their ideas for legislation.
That's what she said in her message. She claims that the attacks weren't so much just about her, that they were about her message. And she pointed out that they attacked not just her, but the Tea Party and many on the right. I'll give you the last word, Leslie.
I think a lot of them attacked her. I think a lot of them will, because she's a woman. We saw this with Hillary. We see this, unfortunately, with women in politics more than men. I don't think she should have defended herself. I think defending her policies, especially if she's going to run, is fine. I thought she was being too much of a chick, Megan.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm going to call Sam Bennett. She's going to yell at you for that. All right, listen, panel, thank you. I appreciate you both being here. And Sean's interview with Sarah Palin is still online right now at foxnews.com if you want to check it out. Leslie and Lars, thanks so much.